In 1791, long before Indiana became a state, the U.S. Army suffered its worst defeat ever at the hands of Native American forces, a battle so disastrous most Americans today have never even heard of it. It's called the Battle of the Wabash, or St. Clair's Defeat. In 1791, President George Washington had ordered General Arthur St. Clair to lead a force north from Cincinnati to build forts and push native tribes out of the Northwest Territory, land that would later become Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. But St. Clair's army was a mess. Poorly trained, undersupplied, and full of untested militia, they marched through freezing weather and swampy terrain with low morale and bad leadership. On the morning of November 4th, 1791, near the headwaters of the Wabash River in what's now western Ohio, an estimated 1,000 warriors from a powerful native confederation, led by Little Turtle of the Miami and Blue Jacket of the Shawnee, surrounded St. Clair's encampment. What followed was pure chaos. In less than 3 hours, nearly 900 American soldiers, half of St. Clair's entire army, were either dead, wounded, or captured. By percentage, it was worse than Custer's last stand, worse than any defeat in the War of 1812, and even the Civil War. The aftermath of the defeat sent shockwaves through both the young nation and the native tribes within the territories. Washington was furious. It's the only time he was recorded as cursing out one of his generals, and relieved St. Clair of his duties immediately. The defeat shocked Congress so badly that they launched the nation's first ever congressional investigation into the executive branch. The loss also forced the U.S. Army to completely rebuild, creating what would become the professional military system we have today. But for the Native Confederation, victory came with its own curse. Though Little Turtle and Blue Jacket had united many tribes, the Miami, Shawnee, Delaware, Wyandot, and others, the alliance began to fracture soon after the battle. Some wanted peace, others wanted to push further, and by the time the U.S. returned with a new army under General Mad Anthony Wayne, the native forces were divided and outnumbered. Just 3 years later, at the Battle of Fallen Timbers, the Native Confederation was defeated and forced to sign the Treaty of Greenville in 1795. It ceded most of Ohio and parts of Indiana to the United States. Land won at Wabash was lost in a few short years. So while the Battle of the Wabash remains one of the greatest native victories in history, its aftermath marked the beginning of the end for native control of the Old Northwest and paved the way for the Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and eventually Michigan territories.
Hoosier history.